So imagine you're a girl, you live in the UK, but your dad lives in Texas. So you fly over to the States to go visit him. But when you're there, you get into a very heated debate about Trump. Obviously, right? The guy's in the news like every single day. You're now in this very heated debate about Trump with your dad in Texas, and you can see that he's very obviously and very vehemently defending him. And so you decide to call him out. More specifically, you're highlighting all the sexual things that Trump is being accused of. And so you ask your dad, well, what if all those things that Trump is being accused of happened to me, your daughter? What if he did those things to me? To which then your dad replied, well, I've got actually 2 other daughters that actually live with me here in the States, so I don't really give a fuck. Now, upon saying that, he then whips out his gun and shoots you in the fucking chest. At close range. Shoots his own daughter in the heart and murders you over a disagreement over Trump. And so now this obviously goes to trial, and you want to know what happens? He's able to get off basically scot-free because he's somehow able to convince the judge and the jury that this was somehow some freak family accident and he didn't mean to do it. And then the court basically says, fair game, she's not a US citizen anyway. Rest in peace, Lucy Harrison, because this story is beyond messed up.
We are living in a world where angry men are shooting their daughters after arguing about Trump and then getting away with it. This is what happened to 23-year-old Lucy Harrison. She was a young woman from England who was visiting her father, Kris Harrison, at his home in Prosper, Texas. So on January 10th, 2025, they had a big argument about Trump, gun ownership, and a hypothetical question about sexual assault. About 30 minutes before she was set to leave for the airport, her father led her into his bedroom. Now, according to his statement, he wanted to show her his gun, but moments later, a single shot was fired. Lucy was killed, and her boyfriend, who was in the house at the time of the shooting, ran into the room to find her dead on the floor. Now, in the United States, police have investigated the shooting as a possible case of manslaughter, but a grand jury decided not to charge Kris Harrison with any crime. He even admitted in a statement that he had been drinking alcohol that day, but he claims the gun went off by accident. Now, a British inquest is now looking into Lucy's death, and Kris Harrison did not attend but submitted a statement. His legal team unsuccessfully applied for the coroner to recuse herself over claims of what they called bias. Her mother remembers Lucy as a passionate and caring young woman.
No charges were brought against this father in Prosper, Texas, who shot and killed his daughter after an argument over politics. Buckle up. This one is crazy. So this father is originally from the UK, and it looks like he moved to the United States when his daughter was a child. Reportedly, she was a UK citizen, and she was just visiting her dad in Texas at the time that he killed her. But that has nothing to do with whether the charges could be filed in Texas or not. Even though she's a citizen of the UK, she was killed in Texas, and Texas absolutely has jurisdiction to prosecute a homicide that occurs within their state. But the question everybody wants to know is, why are no charges being brought? So reportedly, the father and daughter frequently argued about politics, with the father being a number 45, number 47 supporter, and on the day of the shooting, they were arguing again. At one point, she raised a hypothetical scenario about being assaulted, and this probably was in connection with something trending in the news, and he responded with a very nasty comment saying he wouldn't be upset if she did get assaulted because he has 2 other daughters. So understandably, she was upset. She left the room. Later, according to the reports, the father took her hand and said that he wanted to talk. The next thing the family heard was a gunshot, and she was on the ground. The father apparently was trying to show her his weapon because she didn't really like firearms, and so he was showing her the firearm, and he claims, as I lifted the weapon to show her, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I did not understand what happened. Lucy immediately fell. And he also admitted that he could not recall whether his finger was on the trigger or not. It's also come out that he has struggled with alcoholism, including a stint in rehab, and he had relapsed, and he was drinking before the shooting. So the defense theory had to have been that this was an accidental discharge by a man battling alcohol addiction. Okay, cool. Even if that's true, it's difficult to understand why there was not at least a manslaughter charge. Even if they didn't want to go as far as to finding murder, not even finding manslaughter or some lesser offense, that's odd. There are cases with far thinner evidence that result in far worse charges, but in this case, it sounds like the father will not face criminal charges in Texas at all.
I brought Lucy up in a single parent family, and along each step of the way, I did what parents do to keep their children safe. Watching her play with friends when she was little, staying awake until she came home late at night. I'm feeling grateful every time her return flight landed safely after visiting her dad and family. I never imagined she would be shot and killed in the US, in a place where she should have been safe.
A man shot his daughter at his home in the U.S. after the pair had an argument about Donald Trump. An inquest has heard. Lucy Harrison, a fashion bear from Warrington in Cheshire, had been staying with her father, Kris Harrison, and his family in the Dallas, Texas suburb of Prosper when she died. An inquest into the 23-year-old's death is being held at Cheshire Coroner's Court. On Tuesday, Lucy's boyfriend, Sam Littler, told the inquest that he had traveled with her to the U.S., where her father had moved when she was young, for a holiday. He said Lucy would often become upset with her father when he spoke about his ownership of a firearm. The inquest also heard that Mr. Harrison had previously been to rehab for alcohol addiction. On the morning of the 10th of January, when Lucy and Mr. Littler were due to return home to the UK, there was a big argument between Lucy and her father about Mr. Trump, who was to be inaugurated as president. Mr. Littler said Kris and Lucy ended up having quite a big argument, which led to Lucy running upstairs and being upset. He said Lucy had asked her father, "How would you feel if I was the girl in that situation and I'd been assaulted?"
If you haven't heard, a 23-year-old named Lucy has been shot and killed by her father in Texas. She was visiting, and he's a Trumper and she is not. And something along the lines was said about, what if she was one of the girls in the position of Trump sexually assaulting her, or any of the things that he has done to any woman. And he made the comment, oh, he has 2 other daughters that live with him, he'll be fine. So she and her partner that is there with her visiting, they start to pack up, get ready for their flight to go back home. And the dad leads her into his room, or calls her into his room, and is showing her his handgun, the handgun of which her partner says she had no interest in seeing. There was no reason why he should have been showing it to her. And then it accidentally went off and shot and killed her. It's terrifying. They are going after their own blood, their own kid.
I don't know, but a Texan father shot his daughter who had traveled from the UK to visit in the heart. They were having a disagreement over Trump, and she was not in favor. He is MAGA, and he has not been charged with her murder. They actually failed to indict him. They refused. Yeah, no, they said that because it was an accident, he grabbed the gun without checking it first, so it was an accident. But if you own any sort of gun here in Texas, like, you know that, well, I guess he doesn't because he didn't take a course, but if you're supposed to take a course, and they tell you in that course, safety course, that the moment you grab it, you have to grab it with the intent that it's loaded and it can hurt someone. You have to have that mindset always, because it's not a toy, it's a weapon. According to reports, Kris, the father, took his daughter by the hand and led her down to his ground floor bedroom, where he showed her the gun because he wanted to, tell her, hey, look, I have this new item. But evidence from others suggests that Lucy, her name of daughter, she was already aware that he had ownership of this item, and she was not okay with him having it. Lucy's boyfriend said that she told him, or shared with him, that after, during one of Trump's controversies, she asked her father, how would you feel if I was the girl in the situation of being sexually assaulted? And her father responded by saying, I have 2 other daughters. It would not upset him that much. So I don't know, was it an accident? It was point blank. It was point blank. It was right in the chest. That takes aim. That takes moment to put it up, and that requires, doesn't sound like an accident.
Warrington's Lucy Harrison was killed in Texas, and it was her father who pulled the trigger. The inquest heard Lucy's death occurred after an earlier argument with her father in the day about Donald Trump. The inquest also heard that Lucy was anti-weapon and was really concerned that her father had bought a firearm for their home. When Lucy and her father were discussing their political indifferences, Lucy reportedly asked her father how he would feel if she was a victim of SA. And he was very dismissive of this, saying he had 2 daughters that lived with him in Texas, so he really wouldn't care. Lucy's partner, who witnessed the exchange earlier in the day, said that they did resolve it, and later on the day they were laughing and giggling together. And at one point, Lucy's father held her by the hand and led her to another room. Lucy didn't leave in distress, and they were happy leaving together. But shortly afterwards, the family heard a loud bang. Originally, they thought that the father was playing a prank. They were due to go home in a few days. But then the father started screaming for his wife, Lucy's stepmother. And that's when Lucy was found deceased, her father standing over her. The inquest also confirmed that the father had an alcohol addiction and had been drinking on the day of Lucy's death, despite earlier claiming that he wasn't. US authorities did investigate Lucy's death as a homicide, but a grand jury ruled that no criminal charges would be brought. The inquest in Warrington into Lucy's death continues.
I just read about that poor woman who went to go visit her dad in Texas. Although she's from the UK, her dad lives in Texas. She presses him on his support for Trump. They get into a big fight. He kills her. And then the grand jury fails to indict him on a murder charge because he said that it was an accident. She was shot in the heart at close range. What the fuck? According to what she told her boyfriend during the trip, they had gotten into an argument talking about Trump and sexual assault, and she had said, what if it was me who was sexually assaulted in this case? And evidently her dad replied saying, well, I have 2 other daughters that I live with, so I actually don't think it would bother me very much if it was you. And then he killed her.
All right, y'all. A 2-3-year-old woman named Lucy Harrison was visiting her father in Texas. She had come from the UK to spend time with him. While she was there, they got into a heated political argument from reports shared at a UK inquest. Tensions had already been building earlier that day over their opposing views. At some point, the argument escalated. Later, her father led her into a bedroom. A gun went off. She was shot in the chest and died from that wound. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Her father claims he was simply showing her the firearm and that it discharged accidentally. He said he didn't realize his finger was on the trigger. There were also reports that he had been drinking earlier that day, though initially he denied that to police before later admitting it. A Texas grand jury ultimately declined to indict him. No criminal charges were filed. Meanwhile, at the UK inquest, her death was ruled an unlawful killing. But that ruling does not automatically trigger prosecution in the United States. And that's the part people are struggling with, because regardless of anyone's political beliefs, how does a verbal argument end with a young woman losing her life and no charges being brought? Her family has raised concerns about inconsistencies in his statements, especially around the drinking. And a lot of people are left with questions. This isn't about politics at this point. It's about accountability, safety, and how conflicts escalate. Because an argument should never end in tragedy.
A man in Texas shot his 23-year-old daughter in the heart over an argument about Donald Trump, and then got off because he said it was an accident. And this is Lucy Harrison, and she was visiting her father in Texas from the UK when they got into a heated political argument about freaking Donald Trump. And according to reports presented at a UK inquest, tensions had escalated earlier in the day after she was upset that he supported him and asked him what if she was one of the women that Trump had sexually assaulted. And this is so terrible. Her father told her that he's got 2 other daughters, so it wouldn't bother him. And later, her father led her into a bedroom where a gun went off and she was shot in the chest and died from the wound. Now, her father claimed that he was showing her his weapon when it accidentally discharged. He said he didn't realize that his finger was on the trigger. He is also allegedly an alcoholic and had admitted that he had been drinking earlier, even though he had initially lied about that to the police. And here's the part that's getting me, okay? A Texas grand jury declined to indict him. No criminal charges were filed. No criminal charges were filed. And her family is questioning the inconsistencies in his story, including conflicting statements about drinking. And at the inquest, her death was ruled unlawful killing. But that decision doesn't automatically trigger prosecution in the United States. So let's sit with that for a second, because whether you agree with someone politically or not, how does an argument end with a bullet to the chest and 0 charges?
A dad shot his daughter after they had an argument about Donald Trump? Well, that's at least what the BBC would like for you to believe, when in reality, the two were not connected. The BBC reported out that a British woman was shot dead by her father while visiting his home in Texas. They had argued about the US President Donald Trump earlier that day, the British woman being Lucy Harrison and the father being Kris Harrison. And according to all involved, the daughter loved to debate her father. The argument took place initially sometime in the morning hour, and then later on in that day, they were getting ready to drop off Lucy back to the airport for her to fly back to the UK. And prior to that, Lucy had been in the kitchen when her father took her by the hand and led her into the ground floor bedroom, where Kris and Lucy, the father and the daughter, had been watching a news item on gun crime when he told her that he had actually purchased a gun, which, keep in mind, is fully legal in Texas, and then asked her if he wanted to see it. They went into the bedroom so that he could show her the Glock 9mm semi-automatic handgun, which he kept in the bedside cabinet. And then when he lifted the gun to show her, he suddenly heard a loud bang, and unfortunately, Lucy was shot and killed. And what's crazy to me is that news organizations that are so large, such as the BBC, are leaving headlines essentially wanting you to believe that the father shot his daughter because of the argument regarding Donald Trump, when in turn, the two were not connected. Did they have an argument about Donald Trump earlier that day? Yes. Was the shooting because she was against Trump and he was in favor? No, nothing about that aligns. And while the situation is very much tragic, at the end of the day, it's been deemed to be simply an accident. Now, me, myself, and I believe in proper ownership of guns, meaning you need to know how to handle an item in order to own it. And unfortunately, it seems like this guy more than likely wasn't handling it properly. And had that been the headline for BBC, all would have been well. The situation would still be tragic, but at least the truth would still be out there. And what's sad for me is I'm seeing some pretty large creators post this to stories and to TikTok to get you to believe that people are so bought out by political ideology that they're willing to kill their kids over it. When again, in all reality and factually based, that wasn't the case. So shame on you, BBC, and shame on the creators who are reposting this story.
This is 23-year-old Lucy Harrison. She was visiting her father in Texas from the UK when she was killed. She was visiting her father in Prosper, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, for the Christmas holiday. She was shot inside her father's home the same day she was supposed to be flying back to the UK. There is very little information about her death. What police have released so far is that she was shot at medium range inside the home. As far as who shot her and why, that is not known. No arrests or charges have been announced either. The only other thing that's been released is there was nothing in her system that should.
Not a drag queen, not a trans person, not a person of color, not a Democrat, not a liberal, not a leftist, not a Satanist, an immigrant. Yeah, from our white ancestral land of the UK. A white cis hetero male, a mega conservative white cis hetero male. His own daughter. Who are we supposed to be afraid of again?
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So guys, we're going to be talking about, like, of course, this video where a woman, a British woman, has just died due to a close gun range wound or whatever, due to shooting at a close range. Guys, like, I don't see, to be fair, the thing with this story is that I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, hello, like, I don't get it. Like, what is this obsession with choosing political parties over your, let's say, your political parties over your own blood? Guys, I would never choose my child maybe over a political party. I don't know. I just pray that we don't reach a disagreement where it leads us to not be able to speak with people, you know. And the thing is, guys, I'm not going to say it's not that deep. It's a lie. Because if I say it's not that deep, I will be lying to myself and I'll be a hypocrite. Because on this very channel, I've talked about people's political values and their political beliefs. They have, like say, the party who you vote for actually portrays you as like the kind of human being you are, and that's point on period. Yeah, your values are your political beliefs. How you vote are your beliefs, and your values are also, like, say, synonymous to your beliefs. Yeah, your beliefs and values are synonymous. Like, yes, they actually mirror your beliefs. They do, you know. Do I say belief and values are the same thing? No, they are not. Belief is what you believe, and values is what you draw out from that belief. You understand? Like, for example, let me give you an example, right? Like, a racist Democrat will vote the Democratic Party because of certain things they may not agree with the Republican Party, but at its core they share some similar values with someone who is Republican. That's how a racist Democrat is. So those values they share, those beliefs they share are their beliefs, and the values which they take from those beliefs is what influences them to vote. That's how I see it. And they said, of course, as you've heard from the story, they said they were arguing over Donald Trump, their policies, and him being a pedophile allegedly, and all those things and everything. And guys, some people are saying that when he asked him, if they did that to your daughter, like me and your daughter, if they did that to your daughter, like, how are you going to feel? Do you know what this man said? Allegedly, that's what people are saying, that he's got 2 daughters. That argument they had argued happened in the morning. Then later in the afternoon, people are reporting that he said he wanted to show off his daughter the gun he had just purchased, and the next thing they heard was a loud bang. Like, so wait, I don't get it. See, guys, this is what I'm saying. Like, America, I don't know if it's a real place, because I don't know why they are so obsessed with, let's say, guns and everything. I just don't know why. Seriously, how can you walk into a supermarket like Walmart and you're able to purchase a gun? Yes, just the fact that they display guns in places like Walmart for people to purchase, I'm sorry guys, it's fucking insane. And you can talk about, oh, you need a gun license, you need a gun training. Oh, please, bullshit, rubbish shit. Oh, for days. And when is even the legal age to get a gun? And the way they proudly show it off. Oh my days. Guys, I'm European. I can never relate. I just don't relate. Because, yeah, in the UK we do have knives. Well, knife is something that is unavoidable because you need to buy a knife to cook. Yeah, you do. And also swords and everything. Well, I don't even know where they sell those swords. But if you go to a place like Sainsbury's or Lidl or places like Aldi, guys, you cannot just walk into Aldi. Even in Aldi, they don't even sell knives here in the UK. Because we don't even sell knives here in the UK. In, like, let's say, in every supermarket. Not every supermarket have it. Lidl doesn't have it. Aldi doesn't have it, and there are some other supermarkets that don't even have it as well. So not even every supermarket sell things, that constitute a danger to society, or savage or moron to society, or a nuisance to society. No, like, not every supermarket sells it. And even the swords you see people parading around, in gangs, they don't sell it in the supermarket. I don't know where they get those weapons, but they don't sell it in your local supermarket. But to walk in Walmart, to be able to buy a gun in Walmart is insane. What? Damn, girl. Like, guys, do you understand? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, do you understand what I'm trying to say? To be able to buy a gun in Walmart is insane. Like, it's just, like, how are you people not peeping this? How are you not peeping it? Like, a political party should never come between a family. It reminds me of one movie called Anniversary on Netflix. Like, that movie, go and watch it. I highly recommend it. And to see the progression of how the family fell apart due to a stupid girlfriend who turned into a fiance, into a wife, and to absolutely destroy the family, just go and watch it. It's like you're screaming and you're screaming. Guys, I don't even know what to say. And I do believe it's a cost. Like, how can you have a weapon and you don't know how to manage it? Like, how? Like, how is it possible you have a weapon and you don't know how to manage it? Like, how? Like, seriously. Like, I'm just tired. Guys, please, we're allowed to actually disagree, but we do it respectfully. We do it in a very nice tone. We do it in a very nice manner. Thank you.